Greetings, brave adventurers! My name is FoxyBard, and welcome to Horror Story Friday. That is right, on Fridays, I'd like to bring you some of the very worst of the very worst. And today is no exception. Now, if you remember last week, we covered the ultimate that guy. Well, this week, we're going to cover the ultimate main character. And the real kicker to that is that this guy was supported by the DM. Yep, it's gonna be a great time. So, less horror in the sense of bad things happening to people, and more horror in the sense of, oh man, this game sounds so miserable to play for everyone but the one guy. Oh yeah. So, grab yourself a seat around the fire as we dig into this tale of role-playing. Today's story comes to us from the user Zarin Reddit and is entitled GM Encourages One Player's Main Character Syndrome. And I honestly gave it a pretty good intro before we even got into this part. Just know that the main syndromite in question has all the signs and every single one of the horrific things that main characters often do. And with the GM helping, we are in for a time. Tale, start. Oh, good day, fellow horror enthusiasts. What was that voice? Longtime lurker on this subreddit. Today, I decided to share an old story about my first time taking part in a D&D campaign as a player, after DMing for 3+ years. I sincerely hope it will entertain you as much as it has given me nightmares. So here we go. TLDR. Player makes his character extremely overpowered. GM makes him the main character of the campaign and gives him all that he wants. Everything goes horrible. And you know what? I'll tell you a secret, OP. That's why we're here. First and foremost, I kept playing with this group for too long. And I know I should have quit months before I actually did. The reason I didn't is simple. The group was set up by two of my girlfriend's best friends, and she begged me to stay, even just as an excuse to hang out with them. They're cool people, so I endured as much as I could. Until it was too much. Cast of the show. Me. Girlfriend. Friend 1. Friend 2. Protagonist. And GM. Characters and details of the campaign are not important right now, but I'll be happy to share them in another horror story. Let me know, in case. Please do. It'll be fun. For now, let's concentrate on the two reasons for our collective suffering. Protagonist, a player with an astounding main character syndrome, and the GM, which deserves at least an introduction. Our GM, which I consider to be a huge part in turning the game into literal hell, was not very good. His style of GMing included 1. Not preparing anything in advance and always improvising everything. Yikes. 2. Railroading everyone on the only path he prepared 10 minutes before session. Yikes. 3. Not caring about game balance. Yikes. 4. Stealing ideas from the latest video game /book /movie he saw. Okay, that one's not too bad. And 5. Total incapability of handling issues between the players. Yikes. I could talk for hours about how much of a disaster this 1-year-long campaign was, but I'll leave it for another time. The last thing you need to know about this GM is that he basically worshipped Protagonist. frequently asking him for help during sessions, and treating him as the best D&D player that ever lived. This is probably what gave Protagonist the idea that he could do anything he wanted in the game, since, well, he's so good. Out of game, Protagonist was pretty chill and usually brought many interesting stories to share with us, which led to most of the table, myself included for a while, to feel sympathy for him. As time went by, however, his in-game behavior made pretty much everyone else regret ever sitting at that table, aside from GM, who of course had no problem about him or his character. Let's get to the good stuff. Here I summed up more than 1 year of accumulated horror and despair into everything that was wrong about Protagonist and GM. Please note that not all was clear from the beginning, and some things took time to figure them out, since both had always many excuses to justify such elements in the game. Number 1. His background. We all started at level 3, so all the backstories for our characters were pretty simple, such as traveling wizard with a thirst for knowledge, or wanted rogue looking to make a living. Protagonist instead presented himself as a demigod knight, firstborn of the most powerful household in the entire kingdom, renowned warrior who has won many wars for his king, and to top it off, descendant of an angel whose blood allowed him to use magic even as a martial class. The GM allowed everything since it's such a cool concept, and also gave him magic items and extra abilities to match his background strength even as a level 3 PC. He was so strong, he could basically wipe the entire rest of the party if he so desired. This will come into play later. When someone noted that it was a little bit too much, GM replied with, "You could have done the same with your background, sorry." Except that later, when my girlfriend's PC died, and she tried to roll up a bard with a magical instrument that never failed a note, it was deemed too powerful by Protagonist and rejected by DM. Guess world-ending powers are less dangerous than music. Number 2, his amazing roleplay. It's not amazing, sorry. As soon as Session 1 began, Protagonist presented himself as the leader of the party and told everyone to follow his orders. Mind that our characters never met beforehand, but since he was a renowned noble warrior, we went along with it. The GM allowed it because it makes sense. Everyone would assume he's in charge because insert background reason. At first, we simply followed his commands and got the game rolling. I don't think you should have even given him an inch. Things soon started to take a turn for the worst. What Protagonist meant with "follow my orders" was that he would handle any plot element, NPC discussion, decision, strategy, even our daily schedule. Each attempt of our characters to do something on our own will was met with annoyance, and Protagonist always tried to stop us, meddle in, or straight up ask the GM to skip our turns because we're wasting time. I want to proceed. I have no idea what voice I'm doing for these characters at this point, and I'm just gonna roll with it. The GM, of course, backed him up every time. We sneak out to do something that Protagonist doesn't want us to do. The GM replies with, "You try to do that, but fail." Or, "You look for that, but can't find it." And then just goes back to Protagonist. We complain about his behavior. "He's just role-playing." We do anything that upsets him, he rolls a plus 50. What? On Intimidate using his angelic aura, and the GM declares that we're too terrified to even think about challenging him. Now that's what I call fairness. What? Number 3, he's the main character. If what I've told you up till now has not yet satisfied your horror hunger, it has, but I'll take a little more. Here's some highlights of what happened during the actual game. I picked the finest, but almost every session included 3 or 4 variants of what is described here. 1. Protagonist never has to make a roll for anything. He's so strong he cannot fail. I try to persuade a nobleman for information. I roll a 14, too low. He does not tell you anything. Protagonist talks to the same person. He recognizes you as the great heir of a powerful lord and greets you with all the honors. Then tells him everything and also offers gold as a gift. No rolls required. 2. Since he's the leader, all the loot we get from dungeons and quests is automatically given to him by the GM. He then decides how to split it, keeping the best and allowing us to have the rest. If we even once bothered him, we got nothing because we didn't deserve anything. Also, any treasure that we found was locked behind some safety mechanism that only Protagonist could unlock, just to make sure that no one could take something before him. I'm surprised y'all lasted 2 sessions, let alone a year? 3. Protagonist wanted to have a mount, and he requested a dragon. Oh, of course he requested a dragon. GM told him to wait until level 12, since apparently that's the level required to ride a dragon, I guess? Protagonist whined because that would take too long, and started getting angry because I'm already powerful enough. I don't think I should wait. GM ended up having us meet an adult dragon at level 7 who immediately recognized the incredible power of Protagonist and requested to be his mount. Imagine Den of the Drake reading about this one. Hey Drake! Hey Drake? Drake? You there? Buddy? Oh, looks like he's disciplining his kobolds. We'll get to that later. 4. After we returned from a battle, Protagonist received a letter. His parents were killed by an evil cult while he was away. We interpreted it as a plot device to make us fight against the cult. Instead, Protagonist declared that he didn't care about his parents, and only went back home to be proclaimed as the new lord. He gained a castle, a personal army, several servants, and also a ton of gold and magic items that the cult did not steal for reasons. Nothing was shared with us aside from a couple items he already had. The cult was never brought up afterwards. This is pretty much everything. There might be other stuff that I can't really remember, it's been a while, but I feel like you get the picture. The campaign pretty much stopped being fun for me and everyone else after a couple months, but we still kept going because we enjoyed each other's company, and our characters had some fun chemistry. In the end, I left the campaign for good after GM started stealing ideas from my own campaign and putting them into his game, thinking I wouldn't notice. I know that they tried to keep things going for a while after giving up. I don't know what Protagonist or GM are up to these days, but I fortunately found other groups to play with. I'm having fun, and I'm now very careful on not playing favoritism with my players. At least, this helped me host great adventures with great people. Tail end. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's just throw out the whole suitcase. What was going on with this GM? Did he have an unrequited crush on Protagonist? I guess it would make sense for how wild this got. I bet y'all didn't believe me when I said I found the ultimate main character right. And yet, here we are. Here he is. Just gotta team up with the GM. That's the real way to do it. how did this keep going for a year? I know I said that already, but I want to stick on that point. How did this keep going for a year? And it was only then that one person left? Listen, y'all, no D&D is better than bad D&D, and you can hang out with your friends and play things that aren't D&D, or you can just start a new campaign with a new DM and not include the problem pair. Ooh, I like that. And if you are a DM, just be very, very careful to not play favorites. This is why having an imbalance in player power is so discouraged on this channel. It creates situations like this, where one player is likely to think that they are the main character, that they are the most important, if they're that much better than everyone else. Please don't enable it in your games. Please, do it for me. But that'll do it for Foxy today. Also, what the heck were all of those voices? I swear I changed every character's voice about 4 times over the course of this reading. I suppose this is the part where y'all are expecting a song. Crap. There once was a fox played D&D, the name of the fox, it was Foxy. The dice came down and it was rolled, let's go my rolly boys go. Huh! Soon may the FoxyBard come to tell us stories of horror and woe. One day when this telling is done, we'll all play D&D. Or Pathfinder. More likely Pathfinder. There you go. Yeah, I know the Wellerman trend is like really old at this point. I don't care. I wanted to bring it back. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, ring the bell notification icon if you would like to be notified every time I upload a new video, and leave me your comments down in the comments section below. You can also join the FoxyBard Discord server, the link to that is down in the description. And last but certainly not least, it's time to thank my patrons over on patreon.com/FoxyBard. Critical Kunik, Amma Anthro, Jowser, Lord First, Fractal Dawn, Stephen Reyes, Sylvia, Cintaria, Tegan Longtail, Thunder Leopard, Ibab Flo, ZeroFang881, and Zorolo. I love and appreciate you all so much. You're amazing, and you're what helps me keep doing this. If you would like to also support me, you can head on over to patreon.com/FoxyBard and pledge as little as $3 to become one of my Fox Kits. But speaking of Fox Kits, I've gotta go clean up the den. They made a mess. So let's douse the fire and get back to our own adventures.